We're back with our last ship from Wave 19. This time it's the RIS Talvath from the Romulan faction. And we'll get in and take a look. We have our standard Romulan science vessel dial, which we've gotten before. And we have our Romulan science vessel maneuvers. Definitely a maneuverable little ship. Lacking the one come about, but has everything in the twos, including that white come about, which is really nice. Even some threes and a four for a little bit of speed tossed in there. Here we have our named Talvath, unique Romulan faction. 1 attack, 2 agility, 2 hull, 2 shield, nothing spectacular there. 3 tech upgrades, which is really nice. I see this being the go-to mine layer in the future for 14 points. We have evasive, cloak, and sensor echo. And our action is, if you're within range 1 to 3 of at least one enemy ship, roll 3 defense dice. For every evade result, place a evasive token beside your ship. You cannot perform any free actions this round. Basically, it gives you the option to gain a bonus up to 3 evasives for an action. You're kind of gambling because you may not get anything, and you're still spending that action. But if you're already cloaked, you're already rolling 6 dice. That'll give you an extra plus 3 dice. Makes this a really tough little ship to hit. With 1 attack, people really aren't going to be going after you that much. But those 3 tech slots are really going to give you the ability to mount some interesting things on there and basically run interference. Makes a really good support ship. And there we have our generic Romulan science vessel. Using 1 shield. And the loadout's completely different. You have a tech slot and a crew slot for 12 points. Probably the cheapest ship in all of Attack Wing at this point. Same as the previous science vessel ship that we've gotten though. Interesting, fun game is to run a swarm of these against some TIE fighters from X-Wing if you ever get a chance. They're pretty evenly matched. For captains, we have I.R.W. Captain skill is 6. 1 elite talent for 4 points. As an action, you can target a ship within range 1, remove a token, evasive, scan, battle station, or target lock from beside that ship. If you remove a target lock token, remove the corresponding one as well. Basically, let you pull tokens off of opposing ships. Really nice. Interesting ability, basically making your opponent waste actions, which is always good. He can also be used as an admiral, in which case he gives you +2 to your captain skill, still gets that elite talent, and his ability becomes a fleet action, which is nice. Next we have Telek R'Mor, captain skill of 3 for 2 points. Each time you defend, if you have at least 1 scan token beside your ship, roll +1 defense dice. Your opponents aren't going to be shooting at it that much anyway though, because of its low attack value, but I can see him being useful on some of your other ships. He also lets you field the secret research elite talent, even though he doesn't have an elite talent slot, which is nice. Then we have our generic Romulan captain. Captain skill of 1 for 0 points. For our elite talents, we have secret research, 5 points. Add the scan action to your action bar. If this card's discarded, you no longer have the scan action on your action bar. During the activation phase, you may discard this card to perform a scan action as a free action. Card costs 5 points more if purchased for any ship other than a Romulan science vessel. Interesting card, not sure it's entirely that useful. Having that scan token on there makes your opponent roll less defense dice, which theoretically could make you hit with that 1 attack if you're ever going to use it. More likely you're going to use it with things like Telek R'Mor, so you can get that extra defense die for having the scan token, or on one of the other versions of the Romulan science ship, so that you can use it in combination with a weapon upgrade or some other kind of upgrade. But overall, not that spectacular. Because of the number of tech slots, this ship comes with a crazy amount of tech upgrade cards. First one we have is Signal Amplifier for 5 points. You may discard this card and spend 1 scan token to add +2 attack dice or +2 defense dice. This upgrade costs 5 extra points for any ship other than a Romulan science vessel, and no ship can be equipped with more than 1. One of the possible uses for that secret research to give yourself that scan ability so you can use this, bumps you up to a 3 attack. Kind of useful. It's a one-time use for 5 points, and you need something to give you that scan ability to start with. Starts to get into a pricey combo. I mean, just for this and secret research alone, you're looking at 10 points to give yourself +2 attack once. Not sure how useful it is. It seems way overpriced, in my opinion. Next we have temporal displacement. 5 points. When defending during the compare results step, you may discard this card to cancel all the attacking ship's hits or crit results. All cards that were used during this attack are returned to the state which they were prior to the attack. The attacking ship cannot perform any more attacks during this round if this ability is used. And the card may be only purchased for a Romulan science vessel. Kind of a less useful version of interface generator, I think. It has its uses, can be used on top of that as well, but canceling everything is always nice, but the fact that it doesn't cost them to use any of their cards means they can just redo the same attack the next turn. So everything that makes it look cool at the same time is also a hindrance for this card. Your first obvious choice would be to use this on something like transbasic torpedoes or one of the big attacks, but then in the same respect, they're going to just use it again next turn. The only use I really see for it is if you can take that ship out in the meantime. Canceling that attack gives you an extra round to try to blow them up before they can reuse those, or use some other combo to try to disable it before they can reuse it. Next we have Graviton Field Generator for 5 points. As an action, disable this card and up to 2 of your active shields to immediately perform 1 additional forward maneuver with a speed equal to the number of shields you disabled with this action. Or, as an action, if you performed a green maneuver this round, discard this card and place 2 shield tokens beside your ship. When suffering damage this round, remove those shield tokens first. Interesting ability, 2 extra shields for 5 points is useful but a little pricey. The extra move is interesting, but at the cost of disabling shields. On this particular ship you only have 2 shields, so not really all that great of a card, at least with this expansion. Possibly useful on some Delta ships or any of the larger Romulan ships. Not so much on the science vessels. Next we have Advanced Scanning for 5 points. Adds a scan action to your action bar. If this card is discarded, you no longer have the scan on your action bar. When performing a scan action, you may place an additional scan token beside your ship. If you do so, place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. This card costs 5 extra points for any ship other than a Romulan science vessel. I think in the end, this is a better card than Secret Research. The possibility of getting up to 2 scan tokens at the cost of an auxiliary power token is definitely interesting. Let you trigger off multiple abilities. Again, it's really only useful with other cards to make use of those tokens, which also cost incredibly high amount of points in this expansion. So your mileage may vary on it, but it's something that might be able to be used in combination with the right cards. Next one we have is Warp Core Ejection System for 4 points. As an action, you can discard this card to repair 1 damage to your hull and flip any Warp Core Breach critical damage cards assigned to your ship face down. For the rest of your game, you cannot perform any maneuvers with a speed greater than 1, and you cannot receive a Warp Core Breach critical damage card. If you do, you immediately flip the card face down and treat it as normal damage. No ship may be equipped with more than 1 Warp Core Ejection System. It's an interesting upgrade. I'm not sure why, but the reminder token for it has a border, which is kind of odd. On some of your more expensive Romulan ships, your Scimitar or your Dideridax or even the Veldors, definitely going to save your ship, especially if you're facing Federation and you got that pesky Captain Sisko out there who likes to dish out Warp Core breaches. Or I think it's Attack Pattern Omega is a different one that lets you specifically shell out a Warp Core breach. This lets you dump that, basically get rid of the ability. The Warp Core Breach card itself has an ability where you can roll to dump your Warp Core and basically get the same effect. This is just letting you do it without the cost of the action to dump the core. Has its uses though. And the last one we have here is Test Cylinder for 3 points. As an action, if your ship's not cloaked, disable all your remaining shields and target a ship at any range. Disable this card and 1 crew upgrade of your choice on the target ship. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Romulan science vessel. 3 points for the ability to disable a crew. Can be useful in the right situation. The fact that your shields have to be down when you're doing it on a ship that only has 2 hull is kind of a sketchy ability to begin with. It may let you break up someone's combo, but to be honest, to disable a crew for that cost seems a little high to me. If it was a discard crew, it might be worth it, but not all that great in my opinion. For the rest of the expansion pack, we have our 2 shields. We have our reminder token for the warp core ejection system. We have our scan and cloak tokens, a disable token, our additional rules card for the Admiral, as well as the fleet action and the Admiral token. This pack does come with a mission. I'm not sure who it was. Somebody posted on Board Game Geek at one point that it didn't. They must have just got a mispack, because it does come with a mission. This time around is the Eye of the Needle. And most of these are kind of bland now with only the objective token or whatnot in there. I'm kind of missing the original missions where they came with different tokens and different things, and they seem to be a lot more in depth back then. Not real sure why they changed that. But this one is 70 points, including at least 1 Romulan science vessel with 3 tech upgrades, versus 80 points of something else. The missions from the episode where this ship kind of appeared: you're trying to establish a link through the wormhole, which is that objective token in the middle of the battlefield, and your various objectives for doing so. I have to say, probably the coolest reason to buy this expansion is the ship model. It's a semi-transparent, even more so than the recent Valdor ship we've got, and has some light and dark mixed in to the actual plastic, which is kind of cool. Not much paint on the thing, and what there is isn't all that spectacular, but the half-cloaked model itself is just really cool looking. And the camera just doesn't do it justice here, the way that the color, but there's these dark, almost like marbleized areas in the plastic, and it's not showing up on the camera, but definitely a cool looking model. It's the same ship that we've seen before, but just a different molding in the plastic, which is nice. There we have our Talvath named ship, 90-degree front arc, no rear arc, but it has that nice maneuverability to get you angled around how you need to be. Then we have our Romulan science vessel, 90-degree front arc as well. Overall, this expansion is pretty meh. There's nothing spectacular in here whatsoever. This is something I would have liked to have seen as a prize ship. Kind of a one-off out of an episode. Has some thematic stuff for that specific episode, but nothing spectacular. There's a couple of interesting tech upgrades in here, but at the same time, they're very overpriced points-wise. The Admiral's pretty nice, but other than that, there's not much here. The ship itself, the 3 tech slots are kind of interesting. Makes it for a really interesting candidate for a mine layer, but at the same time, it has little of anything else to offer. The 1 attack value, no weapon slots to bump that up, really hurt it. I think most of the Romulan science missiles, if not all of them, are the same way. So it's meant more as a escort support type ship than an actual attacking ship, in which case that role it fills well. It is cheap points wise base, so throwing a few expensive upgrades on there isn't that detrimental, but still most of the ones that come with the ship are really expensive, and you're going to want to put upgrades that you already have on there instead if you do end up using it for that. I think the other science vessels that we already have are going to be a better choice. To be honest, the big reason to buy this is the ship model itself, which is really cool looking. Aside from that, unless you're a die-hard Romulan player or a gotta collect them all person, this is really one that you can look at skipping, save yourself a few bucks for the upcoming blind boosters. Just my opinion. Check it out for yourself and see what you think, but I don't think you're missing anything by not getting this one. Anyway, that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.